teacher host Gnosis, and I'm back. And before I begin, as you can see from the headline, this is going to be part two into did the creators of the Bible use old mythological stories to make the Bible? And if you've seen part one, as you see that I'm pulling up here, we dove deep into certain things, and I'm saying, please watch that video, please. Because there's a lot of information in there that'll show you the connections that the creators of the Bible use bits and pieces from other cultures like the Greeks, the Phoenicians, you know me about the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, and the Etruscans, and so many other cultures. But like I said, if you haven't seen that video, please do, because part two is going to make this more complete, because there's going to be more gods that connect to Yahweh. So, but anywho, before I begin, thank you guys that I made this part two just for you guys that watched part one and gave so much feedback. So I had to do a part two for you guys because you seem to love it, and I love giving out this information to you all. But without a shadow of a doubt, let's get straight into that. Let's not waste no time, and let's show you the facts and showing you more evidence that the creators of the Bible used mythological stories from other cultures to write their version. So without a shadow of a doubt, let's get straight into this now. So now, before we dive deeper into this research, I want to start off with this first example because I think it's going to lay the blueprint of what I have to present to you all during this video and what book you all need to read, because I keep telling you, y'all need to get these books. I need to get these books, man. It's a lot of information. But one book we're going to talk about today is Who is This King of Glory? And this is the book right here, because you know I always give you guys my reference. I'll probably be putting up a picture by Alvin Boyd Kuhn. And this is really interesting what he has to say. So let's get straight into this page. And the page we're going to be looking at is going to be 183. So let's start here. And he's quoting from a guy called Macy, which I have the book. The book is called Natural Genesis 1, page 479. So this is him quoting from another book. Egypt labored at the portrait of the Christ for thousands of years before the Greeks added their finishing touches to the type of the ever-youthful solar god. It was Egypt that first made the statue live here her own life and humanized her idea of the divine. Here was a legend of the supreme pity and the self-sacrifice so often told of the canonical Christ. She related how the god did leave the courts of heaven and come down as a little child. The infant Horus, born of the Virgin, listen closely, ladies and gentlemen, who else was born of the Virgin? Through whom he took flesh or descended into matter, crossed to earth as a substitute. Descended into Hades as visitor of the dead, their vicarious justifier and redeemer, the first fruits and leader of the resurrection into the eternal life. Here's where it gets good, ladies and gentlemen. The Christian legends were first related of Horus or Osiris, who was the embodiment of divine goodness, wisdom, truth, and purity, who personated idea of perfection in each sphere of manifestation and every phase of power. This was the greatest hero that ever lived in the mind of man, not in the flesh to influence with transforming force, the only hero to whom the miracles were naturally because he was not human. And we're going to continue here. The so-called miracles of Jesus were not only impossible on human grounds, they are historically impossible because they were pre-extant as mythical representations which were made on grounds that were entirely non-human in the drama of the mysteries that was a non-historical as the Christmas pantomime. Now here it is, ladies and gentlemen. You know I gave you guys the facts, so here it is. The miracles ascribed to Jesus on earth had been previously assigned to Eusa, the divine healer who was non-historical in the pre-Christian religion. Horus, whose other name is, come on, what do you see there? Jesus is the performer of miracles which are repeated in the Gospels, in which we are first performed as mysteries in the divine nether world. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. So, what he's saying is that the story of Jesus in all his acts was predated way before the Christian era, way before even Greek, into the ancient mysteries of Egypt and in their system. So I want to just start off there, just showing you from what Macy said from Alvin Baldwin Kuhn, who is this King of Glory, that all this stemmed mostly from Egypt, that it was actually being spread across. The story of the Savior, born of a virgin, was already being talked about by the god Horus in Egypt mythology. So that's a good start off for them. But again, this is the book, and I recommend you because there's so much more, but I think this will set the foundation of this video. So let's continue on with some more examples. Rome. So please remember that. So we need to see, the point I want to make here is that we need to understand what the Greeks named Yahweh instead of the Hebrews, because like I said, the Greeks were first into the handling of the Old Testament. So just keep that in mind as I read this excerpt here. So, like I was saying, Greco-Roman syncretism. Yahweh is frequently invoked in Greco-Roman magical texts dating from the 2nd century BCE to the 5th century CE, most notably in the Greek magical papyri under the names Iao. And that name is going to be really detrimental to this research because we're going to dive deep more on that word and another word, but I will finish off this paragraph. But I wanted to make it a key point, so that's why I have that highlighted, Iao, because this is going to blow your mind. But let's continue. Adonai, Sabaoth, and Ilua. In these texts, he is often mentioned alongside traditional Greco-Roman deities and Egyptian deities. The archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, and Jewish cultural heroes such as Abraham, Jacob, and Moses are also invoked frequently. The frequent occurrence of Yahweh's name was likely due to Greek and Roman folk magicians seeking to make their spells more powerful through the invocation of a prestigious foreign deity. So that's really important now. So now, as you can see clearly that the Greeks and the Romans invoke Yahweh in different names. And one particular name was Iao. And we're going to look into Iao and see what this word pertains to and why it was a substitute for the word Yahweh. Just show you here. Iao, ancient Greek, alternative forms, Eal. Just as you guys saw, one of the names that the Greco-Roman used to use for Yahweh. So just want to make sure no one gets confused. So here's the etymology here. From Aramaic Yahweh, related to the biblical Hebrew Yahweh, and written used by the Hellenistic Jews in the Septuagint before the Christian era. Just as I was explaining earlier, that I wanted to make it a point across that you understand that this word Iao was used first before we get the Hebrew Yahweh in the Old Testament. So let's continue here. It was written used by the Hellenistic Jews in the Septuagint before the Christian era, when it became standard to substitute Kyrios, Lord. It is unclear whether the Greek term initially represented Iao or Iaho. The former persisted among the Jews and Christians until late antiquity. In the 4th century CE, Jerome, who's really important, we'll talk about him real quick, who translated the Latin Vulgate Bible from Hebrew and Greek, mentions both Yahweh and Yahweh or Yahweh, the latter matching the translation of Aramaic Hebrew. The shorter, not shortened form, Yah, mirrors the Hebrew Yah. So, now, going back towards Yah, I want to show you a big connection, which is really slightly down in the archives I highlighted here. The proper noun for Yah, first Korean, as I say, Korean Greek Yahweh, the Tetragrammaton Yahweh. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, that you all been waiting for. Another connection to Greek gods. 2. Related to Dionysus, based on conflations between the epithet Sabaoth and the Phrygian god of wine, Sabaeus. And I know all my Greek historians and Greek mythological viewers right now are just like this, like, what? You're connecting Yahweh to Dionysus and Sabaoth and this Phrygian god Sabaeus? Yes. Yes, I am. And it's all here for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's all for you to see. So, we all know a little bit of Dionysus, but who was Sabaoth and Sabaeus? Now, let's really dive deep here, because this is going to shed some light into the Christians and all you religious folks. And remember, this is no attack. This is just facts, ladies and gentlemen. And this is me just doing deep research and not stopping or being afraid of what I'm about to find out, and having an open mind to see where did all of this stem from. So, if you all watched to all this and seen all the evidence I had, I thank you, I commend you, because you are the real scholars. Because this right here is going to be one of the biggest segments, and I'm glad that you all are seeing this right now, because this is where it gets deep. We're just going to nail the coffin and bury it back up with this one. So let's look into these 3 gods that actually coincide with Yahweh, aka Yahweh from the biblical Hebrew, as I'll show you here. Start off with Sabaeus, what they were showing you. So who is Sabaeus? Sabaeus is a deity originating in Asia Minor. He is the horseman and sky father god of the Phrygians and Thracians. Sabaeus gained prominence across the Roman Empire, particularly favored in the Central Balkans due to the Thracian influence. Scholarly debate has long debated Sabaeus' origins with the current consciousness, leaning towards Phrygian roots. Now here's where it gets good. Though the Greeks interpreted Phrygian Sabaeus as both, who, ladies and gentlemen, who do we got here again? Zeus and Dionysus. Representations of him, even into Roman times, show him always on horseback wielding his characteristic staff of power. So here we have this god Sabaeus, where the Greeks interpreted and compared him as both as Zeus and Dionysus, aka Yahweh, aka Yahweh for the Hebrews, ladies and gentlemen. I told you, the truth is here, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the truth gets you. But let's keep going on here. We have the Jewish connection, and I'll go a little bit down here. By this, it is conjectured that the Romans identified the Jewish Yahweh Sabaoth of the host as Hov-Zabasios. This mistaken connection of Sabaoth and Sabbath was often repeated. There ain't no confusion, ladies and gentlemen. These people know what their gods were and their characteristics, okay? So, just want to point that out. In a similar vein, Plutarch maintained that the Jews worshipped Dionysus, aka Iao, remember, and that the day of Sabbath was a festival of Sabasis. Plutarch also discusses the identification of the Jewish god with the Egyptian Typhoon. Dang, now we have Typhoon mixed into all of this with Yahweh and Sabasis. That's wild, ladies and gentlemen. An identification which he later rejects. However, the monotheistic Presbyterian worship the Most High under the name, which may have been the form of the Jewish God. So now they're saying that there's another God that's connected to Yahweh or Sabaoth of Iao, and his name is Presbyterian. So let's make a quick segue into Presbyterius and see what this God has to tell. Presbyterius, the Most High. Damn, that's a title which I can't remember where I've heard that title that they called. Maybe God the Most High? Maybe I'm overthinking it. And a similar variation of the term first appeared in the writings of Gregory of Nazianzus and Gregory of Nyssa. The term has been linked to a body of inscriptions that date around 180 to around 400 AD. Most small voting offerings, but also include altars and stela dedicated to Theus Hesperus, or sometimes simply Hespestius, mainly found in Asia Minor and at the Black Sea coast of the area today of Russia. So now let's see a little bit closer, and I want to show you a sculpture of him real quick before we continue. The cult statue of Zeus Hesperus. Zeus. I just told you. We're making the connections, and I'm showing you again. This isn't me, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they're presenting. They're showing you the connections. Again, Zeus is being intertwined with Iao, with Yahweh, with the Hebrew God Yahweh, and now formed into another god, Hespesius. So let's keep going here. Interpreting the evidence, I have it glued down here, highlighted, but I want to actually look more. Contemporary Hellenistic use of hypsistos as a religious term appeared to be derived from and are compatible with the term as appears in the Septuagint, again, from a much earlier date. Translates Hebrew Elohim, meaning highest. This term records more than 50 times as a substitution for the Tetragrammaton. And what is the Tetragrammaton, ladies and gentlemen? Come on. The name of God, or in direct relation to God, most often in Psalms, Daniel, and Sirach. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There is the connection again. And I'm giving you these articles, and once again, I ain't going to college for any of this to be a historian, ladies and gentlemen, like all these other people. This is just me doing the research again and connecting the dots and again using critical thinking. This is what's going on now, ladies and gentlemen. People are not thinking for themselves. If you want to find out the truth, you got to do the research. And I'm going to say this again. I say this multiple. Continue where we left off. And to finish off with this little segment that we kind of went off for a little bit, the history and hypothesis on origins. This cult may have formed as the native Cappadocian cult of Zeus Zabasius integrated with the cult of Yahweh Sabaoth practiced by the numerous Jewish colonies. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Zeus is being intertwined with Iao and Dionysus, and who else? With the Hebrew God Yahweh. Why isn't anybody preaching any of this to any of us? Because they want to keep you in the dark, ladies and gentlemen. And mostly, I'm going to be the one to say it. They don't even know themselves, ladies and gentlemen. We have some of these preachers with all these mega freaking churches preaching to the sheep. I hate to say it. No one's going to awaken and do this research. Has any of them brought any of this attention to you at all? Name me one preacher or historian, biblical historian, giving you these facts, ladies and gentlemen. Like how I'm delivering or giving it to you. But I just, like I was saying, I just put the dirt back on. But I want to level the dirt now because the coffin's in there. Oh, it's there all right with the dirt. But I want to, let's make this a little plumb and leveled out. You can catch all that on the way home. Because I like to square my actions. But let's go back to Iaho real quick. And let's finish this off. All another example of Iaho in the book is The Chaldean Oracles of Zoroaster, edited and revised by Sapira Adi. It's a good book, ladies and gentlemen. And look at the bottom. London Theosophical Publication Society Collectiana Hermetica, Volume 6, 1895. So we're going to look into a page in here which is going to be really important. And it's on page 20, The Chaldean Oracles of Zoroaster. And I have it highlighted there, and it's going to be at number 6. The Chaldeans called the god Dionysus or Bacchus from the Romans, and here it is again, Iao, in the Phoenician tongue. Ooh, the Phoenician tongue. Remember I told you about the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians gave the Greek their letters. They actually educated them. And I will say this too, I'll be making a video that the Greeks are partially the Phoenicians too. I won't dive deep on it, but that video will be down the road. And if you want to hear that video, let me know in the comments about that. And please, before I continue, please like and subscribe, please, because I've just been giving you guys bangers, man. But let me continue, though. Let me continue. In the Phoenician tongue, instead of the intelligible light, and he is also called, who again, ladies and gentlemen, Sabaoth, signifying that he is above the 7 poles, that is the Demiurgus. Again, you can all get this book, The Chaldean Oracles of Zoroaster. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't me spewing all of this or reaching. Other historians and scholars have commemorated what I just said to you in this video. And this may be a little bit lengthy video, but I had to get this out for you all to understand the significance of all of this. That again, the Greeks are connected to the Old Testament and the New Testament. They had a handing with it all, with it being connected to their gods and other gods around this region, from the Thracians to the Phoenicians, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't some new god that was just derived out of here. No, they took bits and elements from other gods to bring this to light. And this is a big shocker to most people. But let's continue. So now, looking into the word Iao and showing you that I was connected to Dionysus, Sabosola, Zeus, and Herestides, I want to look into Iao and where some other people, societies, have actually used this word and the totality of it all. So when looking into this, I found this, as you see here. Iao stands for Alpha Omega, remember from the Greek, or in Greek, Iota Alpha Omega, and is a symbol for the cosmic divine concept of I am. Where have you remembered that? Ladies and gentlemen, I am that I am. Who did he tell? Who did God give that verse to and told him that that is his name? Come on now. Iao was the esoteric name of God in the ancient mysteries. Helena Blavatsky, I'll be making a video about her because she's really important, explains that the names originate even before the Greek or Hebrew cultures, referring to the Chaldean and the Indian cultures, in which she proves this is true because I just showed you all that is exactly where all of this stems from. So as we see further here into Iao, I want to show you an excerpt from a book, Greek and Roman Magic. So let's start right here, ladies and gentlemen. Tray comes of meal and 8 tray comes of cheese, pronouncing the spell, and write his name and place it beneath the tripod. And here's the Lord's name, Iao. Who else did they have here? The light bearer. I thought that was supposed to be extremely for Lucifer. Give up the thief whom I seek. If any of these swallow not what is given him, he is the thief. Ladies and gentlemen. And this is drawing down the moon from a Greek vase circa 200 BCE. As you're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen. Them invoking Iao, the light bearer, aka Zeus, aka Dionysus. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Again, thank you all for taking the time to watching that video. What do you guys think? And again, I commend anybody that's taken the time, did their research, wrote down some notes. Because I'm telling you, if you didn't take some notes, you're missing out. You need to take these notes, man. But then I really do commend you because you took the time to watch this video and adapted some of this. And now you're going to go off and do what I always tell you to do every time on my video. Take this information and do your own research. But as you've seen, as I showed you, that Iao goes with the Tetragrammaton and the God of the Hebrew Bible, Yahweh, as I showed you there. And that the connection that it had to Dionysus, Sabasis, and to Zeus. Again, the Greeks are heavily in this, and I stress this so much on my video. You need to pay attention and you need to know Greek mythology and Greek history if you really want to know more about the Old Testament. Because as I explained it so many times, the Greek Septuagint, LXX, is the oldest written of the Torah, and it was used throughout Hellenization, throughout this area. So I really want to stress this. I really want to get this out because a lot of people are not looking into history, into Greek history, and to see if they had some type of connection with them. So I did want to stress that out. But again, I made this part 2 for you guys for part 1. And again, I appreciate you all, man. Now let's get into these comment sections because you know I'm in the comment sections. I'm always there. So I love to see what you guys have to say about the videos that I make and all this information that I deliver to you all. But again, thank you for taking the time. I have some other videos that you guys should check it out, man. I'm working on another one too, man. And I'm going to give you a hint, man. I always say about Jesus, or should I say Iusis, and we're going to look into the crucifixion of Iusis, aka Jesus, and did it really happen how they say it happened? Just saying, something to think about, ponder. But I'll be making a video about that, man. If y'all want to see that video, please let me know in the comments section, because I could put that on a priority for you guys, because I got a bunch of videos and I got a bunch of ideas that I want to deliver to you guys. But anywho, again, what do you guys think about all this information I delivered? Again, check out that book that I sent out in the beginning of the video. I'll be probably putting up a photo up again here. Who is this King of Glory? So, man, you got to get these books, man. But anywho, thank you for taking the time to watching this video, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.